Say, would you like to see our Dragon Ball? It's our prized possession, sacred on this planet. So, what brings you to our village?
I kill Kui. I find Dodoria. I kill Dodoria. I find this Dragon Ball. I take this Dragon Ball. Let's see what else I can find. Sweet crap! Did you feel that, Gohan?
Yeah, but maybe we shouldn't.
Man, Vegeta just ended that village!
Krillin, seriously,
I
you.
don't even think he needed to kill him either! They didn't even put up a fight!
Krillin!
What? Oh, cripes, Hey! Listen! They may be dead now, but they've all gone to a better place. Heaven! Where everyone has their own little house and everything is wonderful and we all get along and there's puppies and kitties and...
This sounds totally asinine.
It totally is.
Hey guys, I think I might have an idea. Frieza and Vegeta need all 7 Dragon Balls, right? So, what if we just found one and hid it away? Then neither of them could make their wish.
Hey, good idea! But we also need someone who can help us out. Little Green.
Dende,
Do you know anyone on this planet who might be able to do that?
I know of one person. He is called the leader of our people, the eldest Namek. It is said long ago, when our planet faced a great drought, he led our people through the peril. It is said that it was terrifying.
The drought?
No.
Well, Gohan, looks like this is our only choice. Stay here and protect Bulma.
Oh, now you care.
I'm gonna follow Little Green to meet this eldest Namek guy. He sounds like he's our last hope.
Please do not make jokes.
Frieza seems increasingly frustrated. I'd best find Vegeta quickly.
You know, Zarbon, I'm starting to think my people don't understand what I pay them for.
You don't pay us.
Allow them to live for. I mean, first we lose... What was his name?
Kiwi?
Kiwi. Then we lose all of our scouters, and now Dodoria's dead. I'm sorry, but if this shit goes any further south, we're going to hit Space Mexico.
What would you want me to do, Lord Frieza?
Well, what I want you to do is pull up your frilly stockings, tighten your thong, and stop being such a
Pansy!
Vegeta! How dare you ram into me while I'm thinking about Lord Frieza and my thong?
Yeah, just going to ignore that one entirely.
But it is a good thing I found you, Vegeta. Now are you going to come quietly? Or do I have to make you scream?
Oh, you mean like Dodoria?
Oh, please. Never send a woman to do a man's job. Where is he?
Face down with another man beating your ass. Is it Wednesday already, Zarbon?
Very cute, Vegeta. But you have no idea what you're getting into.
Ha! You have got to be kidding me! I may have lost to those fools on Earth, but since I got here, I've done nothing but slaughter you cretins! First Kui, then Dodoria. I'm 2 for 3, and I'm back on top.
Well, Vegeta, I hope you've enjoyed being on top, because I'm about to put you back on the bottom, where you belong. You see, I've been hiding another side of myself.
Where in the closet?
Now prepare yourself for the beast within. I should warn you, though, this form is entirely different from me in every way. I'm a rape, you bitch!
To be perfectly honest, you're not that different. You're just a lot less subtle about it. Oh my god! Point! Sword! Apples! Huh. Hey, Little Green, do you believe in karma?
What is that?
Well, you see, karma is where if you do something good, something good happens to you. And if you do something bad, something bad happens to you.
So, if I am good enough, then I can have my family back.
Are you still on about that? No!
And that's the end of that. I'd best hurry back to Lord Frieza. If I take too long, he'll really lay into me.
Why did I explode?
That is it up ahead.
So that's that's where yours lives, huh? On Earth, our old Namek lives in a floating castle.
You have one as well?
Well, he died, but yeah.
This does not bode well.
Dende, Nupgaj so Kempo Gurus tuk.
Lato, chajato cha o nader daka. Vit, jihar ma'o bond.
You have such a beautiful language.
To, Vajmal Jatal te Bitmal ho. English.
Aw, so you made a friend, Little Green? Oh, I know! I'm gonna call you Big Green!
Call me that again and I'll snap your neck.
With that attitude, I don't think you should be friends with him, Little Green.
Listen, I don't care where you come from or who you are. I will not put up with such disrespect.
Big Green, get in here.
Oh, good God damn it. What is it, Lord Guru?
I have a bitch of an itch on my left ass cheek. Now, there is an albino Namekian standing behind you. Kill it like the rest.
Actually, sir, I'm from Earth.
Kill it like the rest.
Actually, sir, I think he has business here about those people attacking our planet.
Yeah, we came here looking for help. And I see you have a Dragon Ball up there. Well, we're gonna make sure that they don't steal it.
And how is that?
I'm gonna take it.
Learn your place, Earthling. You have some nerve demanding the Dragon Ball from—
Here, take it.
What?
Just don't steal the TV.
Sir, we don't have a television.
Nail, gather the rest of the Dragon Balls and wish for a plasma TV.
Lord Guru, that would be a grievous misuse of their powers.
I'm about to misuse my hand upside your head.
So I can just take this and go?
Wait, there is something I must first do.
You don't mean—
Yes, I see something within this young man. Strength yet untapped, power yet unleashed. Now hold still, as I unleash the Valley of Strength hidden deep within! There, I have unlocked your potential.
I don't feel that different.
It wasn't that much.
Huh. So this is my full potential?
Yes,
So then it's
all downhill from here.
like Yamcha.
I do not know what this Yamcha is, but it sounds disappointing.
Well, I'd better get this Dragon Ball back to Gohan. Once we find them all, we can wish back our old Namekian.
Wait, you said that you were from Earth, correct?
Yeah?
So, the son of Katat has passed. Unfortunate.
We just called him Kami.
Oh, so he calls himself God. Pretentious prick. Now,
What?
I shall henceforth be known as Super Kami.
Yes, Super Kami.
No, wait. Super Kami Guru.
Can I just call you Guru for short?
Super Kami Guru allows this.
Well, I'd better hurry up. See you later, Little Green, and thanks for the Dragon Ball!
Nail, prepare to retrieve the Dragon Ball. And the body.
Lord Frieza, the dirty deed has been done.
Ah, very good. It's nice to see there's still somebody I can rely on.
Oh, he barely put up a fight after I transformed. Now that he's dead, we have very little left to worry about.
Zarbon, about an hour ago, a scout informed me that an entire village was completely destroyed. Do you possibly know who could have done that?
Vegeta?
And, unlike all the villages we've visited so far, there was no Dragon Ball there. Do you know who could have possibly taken it?
Vegeta?
Very good. Now, use your brain for this one, Zarbon. If somebody were to know where that Dragon Ball was, who would it be?
Vegeta?
Vegeta, yes. And you said you killed him?
Wait, sir, it is possible I just left him unconscious.
Oh, good. And where did you leave him?
At the bottom of a lake.
Minion 43, would you come in here for a second? I need an example.
Private Namol reporting. An example of what, Lord Frieza?
You see that, Zarbon? That's you if Vegeta is not in front of me in the next 10 minutes. Bye.
Just
Scrubbed.
done it! I'm finally the strongest in all the universe! I'm unstoppable.
Oh, how cute. He's having a little dream.
Hein.
Now let's get you back to Lord Frieza. I need to probe you for information.
My power is maximum.
Take that, you bastard! This one's for each pay.
Report!
I'm just checking his vitals.
Is he going to make it?
Well, it's a good thing you got him to me when you did. Even a little later, and we might not have been able to save him.
Why isn't he naked?
Luckily, we... What?
In the healing tank, I always thought you needed to be nude.
What? Why would you think that?
You know, to absorb all the healing juices. Well, looks like you have everything under control here.
Freaks me the f*** out.
Is this thing on? Is it on? Okay, there we go. You are now thinking about what Saruman did to you while you were unconscious. Have fun with that.
You know, Vegeta, I gotta admit, it was pretty impressive how you went all manhunter on us. But now, you're all ours, and I can't wait to watch Zarbon break you like a glow stick. Here I come, HP. And I want you here in 24 hours, understood? And make sure to bring the up-to-date scouters.
Understood, Lord Frieza. Lord Frieza, I really need to use the space Skype.
Zarbon, what could possibly be so important that you need to interrupt me during my call?
Well, I need to call my girlfriend.
Well, Ginyu, I'll call you back. Come again?
You see, our 1-year anniversary is coming up, and I want to see where she wants to go so we can make reservations early.
Oh. And all this time I could have sworn you were... Never mind.
What, you thought I was single?
Well, no, I thought you were into... you know, it really doesn't matter.
Well, it matters to me, because, frankly, it sounds like you thought I was...
Lord Frieza! Vegeta's broken out of the healing...
Oh no, that minion died. Could you go fix that? We'll continue this conversation never.
Did he say something about Vegeta?
What?
Oh, this asshole's stealing my berserkers.
Zarbon, who did you leave guarding him? A pool? You left a pool here?
Well, I thought he could handle it.
A pool couldn't handle a shot of raspberry schnapps, much less Vegeta. Oh, where's the damn phone? I need to make another call.
Yes, sir. I'll go look for Vegeta. He won't get far.
Yes, that's right. Search all over for me, Zarbon. Of course, you'd never think to check inside your own ship. You know what they say. Keep your friends close, and your enemies closer.
Lord Frieza, I found him!
Ah, fuck it.
Ginyu, hurry up, double time. Zarbon really screwed the pooch on this one.
Oh, Frieza, Vegeta's really giving us a pounding.
I'm coming, Zarbon. Quick, grab my balls.
At all.
I've got a lovely bunch of Dragon Balls. Do-do-do-do-do. Here they are, all sitting in a bunch. Do-do-do. 1 star, 2 star, all as big as my head. Give them a toss, I've landed across. That's how Vegeta wins. Bye-bye.
Damn it all to hell, he's gone! And he took off with my Dragon Balls!
Lord Frieza, I found a note.
Let me see that. It just says, Dear Frieza, and it's a picture of a butt.
Can I see it, Lord Frieza?
Vegeta, Dragon Balls, now!
Yes, sir! Damn it, he's up here somewhere. I just need to spot the bastard.
Later, bitches.
Whew! It's taken me 5 whole days, but I'm finally up to 100 times gravity. It's a good thing that I brought along all these sensu. Oh man, it looks like we only have 4 left. Oh well, we won't need that many on Namek. Mmm, tastes like healing.
Hello, Goku? Do you hear me? I swear to God, if this is George Takei again, I'm gonna shove a brick up the Verizon guy's ass.
Kai?
Ah, there you are, Goku. I see you're on your way to Namek.
I'm gonna beat someone up.
Of course you are. But listen, there's someone on Namek that you must absolutely stay away from. You hear me? He's even stronger than Vegeta, and he...
I know.
What?
I'm gonna beat him up.
Goku, no. This is nothing like Vegeta. It is much, much worse.
Uh-huh.
He is known throughout the galaxy as the most terrifying and evil person there is.
Really?
He's conquered hundreds of planets and slaughtered billions of people. Stop it! Stop getting excited! Now promise me you will not fight him.
Ooh, I can see Planet Namek. No, wait, no, it's fake.
Goku, seriously! Promise me that under no circumstance will you go anywhere near Frieza.
But King Kai,
Promise me!
Oh, all right. I promise I will absolutely not click burn.
What the? He hung up on me. How the hell did he even do that? Damn it, I'll call him back.
I don't know who to make.
Goku, I swear to God, I will ride your ass on this one.
Oh my.
Damn it, Takei!
All right, they should be here somewhere. Aha! They're here! They're all here! Perfect. Now I have 6, counting the one I have hidden near the village. All I have to do now is stay under the radar and not fly around like a jackass saying, I've got a Dragon Ball! I was gonna say come and get me, Frieza, but that works too!
This is useless. I'm never going to find him like this. I might as well hide under a rock. Maybe Lord Frieza won't find me if I just lay low and don't fly around like a jackass saying,
Come to Papa, you bald bastard!
I was going to say, come and get me, Frieza, but that works too.
Son of a bitch!
Huh. I thought you'd be back in the cave.
Well, I would if I didn't keep finding puddles of...
Yeah, I know, in the cave. Get over it. Besides, I brought us a Dragon Ball.
Oh, wow. They're much bigger than the ones on Earth.
Yeah, Gohan and I were pretty surprised too when we... Wait, where is Gohan?
Oh, he took the Dragon Radar. We found a Dragon Ball that was all on its own.
Wait, what?
I got a Dragon Ball.
You let Gohan go out on his own?
Yeah.
I didn't expect
What's
that.
the big
I
deal?
gotta
You have any idea what Chi-Chi will do to me if he gets hurt? I like my penis where it is, thank you.
I still don't see how this is my problem.
Oh, we'll just have to wait for him here then. At least we have a Dragon Ball. Hi there, I'm taking your Dragon Ball. Care to trade for one of yours? How about no? You drive a hard bargain.
Who drives it hard now?
Oh, I thought I smelled body glitter.
You, the short one over there. Give me the Dragon Ball.
Not so fast. He's handing the ball over to me. Right, Baldy. Bulma, little help here?
Oh my god, he's so hot. I just want to grab him and...
69, 70, 70.
One time you've defeated me, Zarbon. And that's one time too many.
Nothing's changed, Vegeta. The last time we fought, you were barely alive when I retrieved your body.
That reminds me. Did you do anything to me while I was unconscious?
Did I what?
Did you do anything to me while I was unconscious?
What? No! God, no!
Oh, thank God! Wait, what do you mean by that? Am I not good enough for you?
Alright, Vegeta, I'm gonna be totally honest with you. This is sounding really gay.
What are you...
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Just transform, damn you.
We're going to have a pen.
Go, Ash! Obliterate everything!
We'll make love every single... Kill it with fire!
You've made
No!
Now prepare to die!
What was that? I couldn't hear you over that hole I made in your stomach.
Vegeta, please. Just give me a chance. We could work together.
Yeah, I've heard that bit already. Now let me put this in a way you'll understand. I'm about to blow my load all over your insides.
What the?
No homo. Freaky alien genotype.
Guru, sir, I have a question.
Ask away.
You've been around for so long. Just how old are you?
I am this many.
No! Win!
Raise your hand.
That's how old I am.
Oh, is that the number one? Oh, I took down the number one!
Kill it with fire!
What was the other fucking thing I can get? What the fuck was it? I was gonna do something. What the fuck is it? I guess I could just get into Glacial, but fuck, bro. I don't know what the fuck to get. Go Ash, Obliterator! Doom, doom, doom. What is there? If there was a Taric, I'd grab that and swap out Nautilus here, whatever that fucking fucker. Oh, I go. Oh wait, I don't know. So I get Janna.
The following is a non-profit fan-based parody. Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball GT are all owned by... You really took care of that? Wow, you really took care of that guy. Yeah, didn't even know I could pull it off. But, you know us Saiyans, we get stronger every time we almost die. Well, that seems incredibly unfair. So, you seem like a busy man, so... Oh yeah, killing people. And I'm about to become immortal. Well, we don't want to keep you, so I guess we'll be seeing you. Yep, I still got a lot to take care of, and I... Oh, wait a minute, nice try. Give me the Dragon Ball. Oh, you know, I could kill both of you right now, but after killing Zarbon and getting this last Dragon Ball, I'm in a good mood. I mean a really good mood. But just remember this, next time you see me, I will be
Fuck you, Singe, die!
Not that you stood a chance to begin with.
No! Go Ash, no!
Waka waka!
I was gonna do the 1 HP comeback. I'm going to rule everything. Oh, that fucking blue. Fucking switch out of Berserker because that dickhead was doing it too. And he had more Berserkers than me.
Well, congratulations! You've single-handedly doomed us all.
I didn't see you do anything.
What exactly did you expect me to do?
Well, I don't know, maybe you could have bitched at him. How about that? That's all you appear to be good for these days. Huh? Used your bitch foo on him? Bulma, the mistress of bitching, that's what they should call you. Stop me now, I'm having such a good time. I'm holding this ball. Stop me now.
What the? That's Vegeta. I know. If I just hide here and lower my power level, you shouldn't find me.
Okay, what the hell is going on? I know I just sensed something down there.
Good. Now just go on and...
Hey, show yourself before I turn this place into a barren wasteland. So basically the same, only on fire.
Clap baskets.
3, 2, 1.
Hi. Hello, Mr. Vegeta, sir.
Oh, well, if it isn't Mo Howard.
How do you even...
Space Hulu.
Figures.
So what are you doing here?
Oh, you know, just flying around.
Flying around?
Flying around.
Thwarting my plans?
Thwarting your plans?
Are you?
No.
Good, because that'd be bad.
How bad?
I'd have to kill you.
That's bad.
Indeed. Stupid looking watch you got there.
Yes, it tells time. And nothing else.
Oh yeah, that's what a watch does. dumbass.
So, can I
Is it
help
wind?
you?
I don't know what the fuck it is.
But maybe I
Alright.
can help you.
I need an adult.
I am an adult. By the way, I only hit you because I had pent-up aggression against your father. Take that.
Berserker.
Don't stop me now. I don't wanna stop it.
Seriously! 5 ancient sages of bitchdom all gathered together one day on the peaks of Mount Bitch to proclaim your birth. And 100 years later, when all the bitch stars had aligned, you were born and made everybody's life around you a living hell because you are such a bitch!
You done?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
Good.
Ow!
Guys!
Go on!
You guys, I think we should find a new location.
Why? What's wrong with this place?
Because we have 10 minutes
Ranger.
before Vegeta finds out that I just stole this.
God, I love it when a plan comes together. Took some time, effort, and lots of bodies, but now it's mine. Immortality is my bitch! Now, it should be right here. Right here. Where the hell is it? It couldn't have gone anywhere. Alright, I'm going to close my eyes, and when I open them up, it's going to be right here. It's not here. Why isn't it here? I don't get it! Who could have... The kid! But how could he have found it? He would have... Wait. That watch... That watch wasn't a watch at all! It was some kind of Dragon Ball locator. Which means...
He took the Dragon Ball.
Really?
Oh no!
Hear that?
I feel that.
Oh, I just so.
What the devil is that noise?
Time for a delicious sports drink, huh? The heck is that?
Purgatory. Hell. Denise? Denise, do you hear that? Oh god, is that my wife? Leave me alone! You already took the kids! What more do you want?
Alright, Mom. Once that time machine is done, I can go back into the past to save Goku and my father.
Why are you going up
Daddy?
the masses, you fucking stupid Volibear?
Alright, I don't think
I'll
Vegeta will
suppress
find
them
us
so
here.
There you go, you didn't
Gohan,
use it.
I need to get you to Gurus.
And now they're lined up, so
Why?
they can die.
So the old man can touch you and pull things out of you that you never knew you had.
I need an adult?
I am an adult.
Oh no, 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 no! I am not letting you abandon me here again. Those bitches on Lifetime might put up with it, but not me.
Bulma, you're right. You have been very helpful and very patient with us. So in return, we're letting you watch the Dragon Ball. Bye!
I will kill you both in your sleep!
As soon as the Ginyu Force arrives, all of my problems will officially be over. Soon, immortality will be mine, and the entire universe will be under my foot. I wonder what I should do first. I guess I should start with what I won't do when I become immortal. Die.
Lord Frieza, the Ginyu Force is scheduled to arrive in 5 minutes.
Thank you, Asai.
Also, after rising concerns with our personnel exploding, we decided to form a union.
Adorable. Oh, first thing I'm going to do is go up to Cooler and slap him right in his smug prick face.
Hey,
Come on,
Krillin!
freeze the bitch.
That's it! We're going to make it! We're finally gonna... die! We are going to die!
Krillin, what is that?
Pure rage, Gohan. Pure rage.
What do we do?
Run, Gohan! Run as fast as you can!
But I...
Do as I say, for I am the Heavenly Buddha!
What?
Just go!
Guru, sir, we have another traveler from Earth.
Oh, tell me you didn't let him inside.
Hello, Mr. Guru.
Oh, god damn it.
Mr. Guru, sir? My friend Krillin told me that you could help us by touching me.
Do I look Catholic to you?
Sir, I think he means he wants you to release his hidden potential.
Yeah, that.
Fine. Stand still. It's your first time, so I'll be gentle. Now relax as I reach deep inside you and grab hold of your essence.
I need an adult.
I am an adult!
Huh, that's odd. I don't feel anything anymore. I wonder if we lost it.
I am here for it.
For what?
Dragon Ball. I need that Dragon Ball. Give it to me. One you took. I need my wish.
Are you okay?
I think you're right, broke Vegeta.
Shut up, Ghost of Nappa!
What was that?
I'm not crazy. You're crazy. Especially you, Nappa.
Hey!
Who are you talking to?
Dragon Ball. Hands now, please.
I don't really have it.
No.
What?
No.
Uh,
No. Oh, wait. What? Where am I?
Barris.
Why are you here? Where's Nappa?
didn't you kill him?
Yes, of course I did. He's dead. Forever.
So,
Where's that immense power coming from?
Oh, that's probably Gohan over in the hut with the creator of the Dragon Balls is. You know, the guy who can unlock your potential by putting his hand up.
Something.
Yeah, the first thing you can do is go die. Save me the trouble.
Ooh, is this really happening? Because I really hope it is.
Oh, trust me, you don't want any of what I am right now.
Then come on, bring all 4 feet of you. Should I count your stupid hair?
Pretty big talk coming from a bipedal slug.
Big talk coming from a bipedal bitch.
Oh, I gotta admit, you are the best challenge I've gotten out of your people yet. Then again, I'll have to compare you to those villages I slaughtered.
Oh, you are dead!
No! Stop making out with your boyfriend. I can hear it from here. It sounds like...
Thank you, Lord Guru!
I'm not here for any of you idiots anyway. I'm here for the old man.
Oh, no, you don't. With this power-up, I'm now as strong as you were when we fought on Earth.
Congratulations! You're still weaker than the last 3 guys I killed.
Wow. I now know what it's like to feel like Krillin.
Sucks, doesn't it?
Look, it doesn't matter how strong you get, kid. Besides Frieza, I'm the strongest thing on this planet! Bar none.
Hey! Just thought I would inform you all. I detect several high power levels coming towards the planet.
No! Oh,
Several high power levels.
There are 5 of them in total.
5 of them?
And they're all incredibly flamboyant.
Oh god, it's them!
What are you talking about?
We're doomed. Don't you understand? We're all going to die here.
Who is it?
It's the Ginyu Force.
We're here.
Mites.
The Ginyu Force.
The following is a non-profit fan base.
Men, introductions. Ginyu.
Aldo!
Rikum. And together we are...
Sure is Zarbon in here.
Lord Frieza, thank you for this chance to serve you.
And but some hate!
Quite. But before we get down to business, Jace?
Nah!
Here you go, Lord Frieza, the new up-to-date status.
Good. And they have the ringtone I wanted?
Yes, sir.
Glorious. Now, as you have been informed, Vegeta and a few other pests have taken my Dragon Balls.
Whoa, Vegeta?
Little Veggie?
What's a Dragon Ball?
Rikum can't believe he had it in him.
I know, right?
What's a Dragon Ball?
Yes, it turns out Zarbon and Dodoria weren't enough. I've called you 5 here to get them back.
Easy enough. Would you rather them dead or alive?
Either or.
Dead it is. Ginyu Force, assemble!
Speed of light and strength of all!
The Ginyu Force shall make them fall.
Lord King Cold's army's strongest force.
We'll beat them all! Secure the course!
If trouble meets us as we pass,
We'll shove our fists
right up their ass! Ginyu Force, move out!
We're dead. We are dead. All dead. All gonna die. Dead men be we. A cornucopia of pain and despair is coming our way to ensure our demise. We are so going to die.
Now, slap him.
Ow!
Thank you.
Every fiber of my being wants to puke at once when I say this. But I need your... I
need your help.
You need our help?
That, yes. All right, but if we're gonna be a team, we need a name. No, we don't. Oh, I know. How about Team 3-Star? What? Well, we're a team, and there's 3 of us, and the Dragon Balls have stars on them. Team 3-Star. That just makes me want to kill you even more. And you're still only the second most annoying bald person I've ever had the displeasure to work with. Team 3-Star, move out! I swear to God!
What else is there? Dude.
He's gonna fucking eat you.
Jeff wanted to do something. I came up with the idea, hypothetically speaking, of course, to change Ryan's gamer tag from BM Vagabond, which stands for Brown Man because he's a big fan, to Hey Would You Blow Me?
Not true.
And now Jeff is going about it.
Hey, would ya blow me?
Do you feel guilty?
Are you
I
really
do,
gonna
because he's
change
doing
his
it.
gamer
I
tag?
hope he
Like-
doesn't do
like,
it. Because someone's going to take BM Vagabond
Someone's gonna,
like instantly.
You need to have someone ready to grab BM Vagabond right now.
I don't think we do. I think we just give it to the world.
No. You think so?
Michael, you gotta go get on.
Because
on
you're a
BM
piece
Vagabond.
of shit.
You gotta go get on.
That's what I did with Dan.
You gotta go get on BM Vagabond
I
right
gotta
now.
fucking make a whole account.
You
first.
do, but you gotta do it.
See if it's available first.
Fine. Yeah.
If he hits enter, doesn't it go through?
I
No.
doubt it.
No.
You don't know. You're just saying no because you want him to
No,
do
because
it.
it'll say, it'll be like, this is available. Are you sure? Won't it? Always.
I don't know. I thought you had to pay to change your name.
You do.
Yeah, that's why.
Maybe
it's
that means it
on
wasn't available, but why wouldn't it say? Maybe it's banned because it's like blow me.
What about
Hey,
what
I'll
about
get
with,
working on
with
the
a
other
zero?
one. I'll get working on the other one.
Yeah.
The retribution for this is gonna be
That'll be fine. There won't be retribution as long as we actually don't delete the account.
Listen, you can't. Cannot do this to me.
What?
Going through. Maybe they can see through the Hey Would You Blow Me? It's not going through. He can be Brusque Dinosaur 78. Like, realistically, if you're starting up a fucking, like, an Xbox Live account, oh, dude, yeah, I'll be lining tag 593998. All my friends will think I'm cool. Or Lyric Cracker.
They're not gonna let slut go in.
ATL Sluts.
Damn it!
Oh, dude, bulkier Sphinx 12? Can we just all make, like, new accounts with whatever Microsoft gives us?
Oh, I got it.
I want to be bulkier Sphinx.
God.
Bye.
Or do like the cow one.
No.
Try it.
Do it. Do
Try
it. Do it.
What did it do? I don't know. What if this is all working and this gamer tag is constantly changing?
I don't understand.
I don't know.
What does it give me your milk?
Fuck, that's what he says. I think that's on the shirt.
On a future shirt.
Are they all taken? Is that why it's not going through?
Yeah, that came out. A
What?
cow shirt?
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Didn't that come out? Is that out already?
I don't know.
The fucking milk shirt.
It's a milk shirt?
Yeah, don't worry about
That's
it.
gotta
It's
be
another
taken.
shirt Ryan hates.
Oh, no! Nope, okay. Don't do it.
This is your call.
Don't,
Moment
do not.
Moment of truth. This is your call.
You gotta
as a
get the
boss.
other one
I'm out.
immediately.
Look,
I'm
it's
out.
already ready to
I'm
go.
gone.
Look,
Mine was Hey Would You Blow
to be
Me?
fair,
It was taken.
I'm doing
This is all you.
what Jeff told me. Look, I have this ready to go. I got BM Vagabond, check availability. It's taken right now.
Don't do it.
I'm
Do
ready.
it.
Doing Glacial too.
Do it.
I mean, it's content, right?
It's content. This is a
Sure.
Oh my.
No!
Don't
Kill
do
this
it.
bitch!
How to open my big fucking mouth.
We can give it back.
Can we though?
Yeah, oh, he's gonna change that. I'll take BM Vagabond. Then when we want to give it back, you change that to something else. No, I change this to something else. And then you grab BM Vagabond back.
What if in that 1 second though, some fucking nerds like mine?
Not gonna happen.
How would they know?
They
wouldn't
won't.
know. What
I'm
the
gonna
best
get it
part?
right now.
Well, 'cause
Imagine
you-
his reaction when
no,
he
you-
sits down and
hold
just
on.
sees it.
I'll tell you why they will know, because it comes up on the activity feed when somebody changes their gamer
I'm
tag.
telling you, I'm gonna click it
But
right
he's
now.
they're not gonna be able to be like, But quicker than he can just click.
I'm just saying though, people will know and there'll be like a whole fucking thing about it.
Yeah, but we only want his reaction.
It's perfect as
today.
well because everyone knows he's on the patch right now.
That'd be great if he started getting messages about it now.
Messages how? He doesn't check
Really
Twitter.
mean, right?
It's really mean. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's mean.
Honestly, if you like broke his monitor, that'd be nice.
It's definitely mean. It's definitely mean. I would definitely do it.
If you replace his whole setup.
Tell you
with a
what.
Mac,
If you want to hit the A button, you go right ahead.
The world didn't want me to. I almost died doing it.
that's a sign.
Oh, just get someone who doesn't know what they're doing to press it.
Walk up to Carrie.
No, walk up to Ryan.
Walk up, have Ryan to
Let's
press
press it.
controller though. He'll be suspicious.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't even think it'll work.
But
that
will he
far.
do it?
You're gonna lose connectivity.
No, I think it'll reach. I think it'll
I'm
reach.
just saying, just keep an eye on the light bulb.
I'm not gonna get that will work.
Including, they did not mention Sonic.
Interesting.
Golden Axe and Virtua Fighter.
Uh-oh.
Hey, what's up?
I need you to hit the A button on your controller.
Why?
Just do it. Just, you know.
I don't know why you're doing. Will it read this far?
A, hit A.
Hit B, hit B, hit B.
Oh!
All right, fuck it. What do I care? I don't work in that office.
You just bought like 2 systems or something back to back.
No, I'm sure it's something worse.
So
than
for
that.
people who are not watching, Jeff just came in, handed us a controller, and asked us to hit A.
It didn't go through yet.
It worked. It worked, but now you gotta pay for it.
Yes, I did it again. I should save this. I should just turn it off and save it.
Don't do it.
I can't.
You gotta let the world do what it's gonna do.
Shut your mouth.
Shut
you
up.
Didn't see anything.
Don't do it.
I mean, the
Load
least
that
you can
up.
do is pay for it, Jeff.
This is the button. This is the press.
I mean, essentially, he already hit it, right? Ryan. Come on.
No, shoot,
Wait,
fucking
how are you gonna
Annie.
pay for it?
It's free.
Oh, it's free.
Busy already got the bag.
Guys!
Alright, let's end the video.
Everybody should put a fucking password on everything that only you know.
So what do we do? How do we let him know that this has happened? Is it just
He'll figure it out.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm pretty sure he'll figure it out right now.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. He's immediately gonna come in and be like, I did this!
I'm sorry I opened my mouth. I'm partially responsible, but I didn't do it. That was
True.
not me.
Hey, listen.
Listen, I went for "Hey, would you blow me?" but that was taken. This is
I was like, what are they doing? Because I was hearing like long
Yeah.
things of silence and then just like, oh shit, like what?
we're just like advancing slowly through the process?
Every step.
How
It's
did,
like another.
did he just not have a password?
Hey, Jack.
What's happened?
Look at
If I walk in and you're filming, that's
Look
typically me.
look at Ryan's screen.
Oh no.
Hold on, I'll get Carrie. I'll get
Do you know who did it? Ryan.
Well, Ryan pushed the
Fire!
and that was brought out to him on the patch.
Oh no. Oh shit. Do we someone grab his name? Okay, good.
I like this message in my activity feed.
What is it?
BM Vagabond is now known as Give Me Your Milk. I'm gonna go ahead and like.
Do all that.
Everyone's saying.
Oh, it's just in the subreddit. Oh, it
Already?
It's on the subreddit.
Is it really?
So Ryan's new Xbox Live gamer tag is "Give me your milk."
News travels fast.
Dude,
I don't know about you guys, but I'm safe.
I love
You know, my
making
safety.
news. Remember.
I had nothing to do with this, Ryan. Don't hurt me.
You mean when he dumped
And
trash
poured
on him?
garbage on him? Do you think he could take back murdering all of us when he's just like, oh, you guys had my gamer tag the whole time and we're all dead on the floor? He's like,
There's hatchets in our necks.
you guys are crazy.
Right.
Oh, so while I was doing a dick piss,
Yeah.
had an idea. It's a new Shimano show, Shenanigans.
What is that?
That's our new show, Shenanigans.
Plenty of them.
This episode 1 right here.
So that's
Amazing. Can't wait. Awesome. Holiday spirit.
It's
easier
to
just do it than.
Yeah.
Ezra.
Hey, what's up?
Hey. You guys are all fucked. You know that, right?
Or Ash.
How was the patch?
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I got Ranger.
You leave for a second.
how is the patch? Oh, I know.
I wasn't even here. Are you really attached to
Warwick,
DD Jeff?
Listen, Gavin did it.
What?
Don't worry. He's in there too.
Hey, Brian! I did not do it. I filmed it.
I don't care. You're in.
To be fair, it was Ray and Gavin.
Was not me.
Are you really attached to DD Jeff?
No.
Good. Good. We're gonna test that.
You can change it back.
No, I can't. It's gone.
It's not gone. Have you tried to change it back?
It's live stream. They are. You know, either you guys did or somebody else checked it. So if you guys didn't have it, it's gone. Jack did it.
Oh my god. He's so mad right
To
now.
be fair, though,
He's so angry.
Ray wanted to change it to "Hey, would you blow me?" and you couldn't change it to
It was
that.
taken, so I'm already out. I'm already out.
All right. All right.
Wacky.
This we did
What do I care about
make a
Olaf?
new show.
Not in the
We
slightest.
did make a new show out of
Oh,
it.
good. Yeah. I hope it's worth it.
The thing that's most scary is the patch ended 7 minutes ago, and Ryan didn't come in for 7 minutes.
Block it off.
No, he had to go dig our graves.
No, I actually did come straight over.
Oh,
here
you
to
did?
take a picture.
Oh, okay.
No, but the kind of hell that I'm going to rain down on you. It's just not even. You don't even know.
Guys, he's looking right at me. I was just filming it.
None of you.
I said to stop it. You're like, I'd do it.
I wish I could.
Like, I'm fine with no work being done in this office. Because of that.
Ryan, I tried to stop them.
Thank you.
Sincere.
Brian, you want some mustard?
Oh, my heart hurts.
That's fear, guy.
All right. Before Ryan
Be a
kills
man.
us.
Come on.
Should we give him back?
Yeah.
We saved it.
I figured.
Your gamer tag was in limbo for about
You guys would not be that.
0.5 seconds. It was no one's, and then
I swear to God, though, it was Ray's idea.
Kill him!
You know how I know it was not Ray's idea?
It was!
it was actually
Yeah.
Ray's idea.
I said, here's what I said. We were like,
Oh,
should we fuck with
fucking
Ryan
up,
on the patch?
Brom. Yeah,
And
punch
Ray's
him.
like, let's change the game.
Yeah, like, let's
gotta have the
hey,
patch.
would you blow me? They're like, it doesn't work. I'm like, all right, we're done.
That's, you know, honestly, that's the same reason I would have thought you wouldn't have done it, because you were the one with the most to lose with having your game attack.
Ray tried to backpedal though so
He's
hard.
so hard.
Once
You will
we
see on the
saw it,
footage.
We're all like, yeah. He's like, no, guys, no.
I'm like Gavin with the money bet.
At one point, Ray was even like, I'm sorry I said anything.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, let's change it back.
Oh, that was good shenanigans.
By the way, wait. Password to change your gamer tag.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. We didn't think we could do it. It was $10 well spent though.
They
Wasn't
already know.
Well, it's going to be 20 or 30 well spent.
It was
By the end
$9
of it.
well spent. It'll be $8 well spent again.
it? It's 10 now.
It cost
Oh, is it 10?
$20.
Yeah, 10, yeah, $9.99.
To
Believe me,
launch-
I got the receipt.
But I paid for it with my card.
That makes you feel a little bit better.
Well, Ash carry once again. %, chance for a very high attack speed buff. Fire! Warden. Just make a Volibear Warden. How is this one gonna go? Freeze that fuck! No, Olaf can't be frozen. But he still fucking takes damage from Ash. Attack speed, 100%. Damage per arrow, 75%. Look at Ash, you know, the Glacial. I'll do that. Make someone else a Glacial. Why would you do that? Oh, hey! That'll work out great. Does your damage go down if you have too many minions on fucking field or some shit? Tarek. Oh, that's fine, so. Hey, Draco died! Okay, died. Another Glacial Ash. That would've been awesome. I could've just thrown Tarek in there, swap him out for what the fuck's his name, and yeah. Glacial Tarek. Fuck you. Warden doesn't matter too much now. Blade Master, no. What could be a good buff to give someone? I don't know what other buffs I can give. Fucking sure, why not this? Bye bye. Obliterated. Did I get any kindreds? I don't remember. Yeah. Ah, god damn it! Kill range with it. Very good. Oh.
A little bit of loneliness, a little bit of disregard, handful of complaints, but I can't help the fact that everyone can see these scars. What I want you to want, what I want you to feel, but it's like no matter what I do, I can't convince you to just believe this is real. So let go, I'm watching you, turn your back like you always do. Face away, pretend that I'm not, but I'll be here cause you're all that I got. I can't face the way I did before. Don't turn your back on me. I won't be ignored. Time won't take this damage anymore. Don't turn your back on me. I won't be ignored. I'm a little bit insecure, a little unconfident, cause you don't understand to do what I can, but sometimes I don't make sense. I am what you never want to say, but I've never had a doubt. It's like no matter what I do, I can't
calling me to go. Give me a volley bear and I'll have more glacial already.
Wake up! Grab brush and put a little makeup. I discussed the fadeaway. Why'd you leave the keys upon the table? Create another fable. You wanted to. Grab a brush and put a little makeup. You wanted to. I discussed the fadeaway, the shake up. You wanted to. Why'd you leave the keys upon the table? You wanted to. Well, I don't think you trust.
Bounce shot. Amazing. Give me more gold.
Self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die. And my self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. Father, into your hands, why have you forsaken me? In your eyes, forsaken me. In your thoughts, forsaken me. In your heart, forsaken me. Oh, trust in my self-righteous suicide.
God, both of them yesterday.
Oh, no, man!
Like glacier.
Now I will tell you what I've done for you. 50,000 tears I've cried, screaming, deceiving, and bleeding for you. And you still won't hear me. Don't want your hand this time, I'll save myself. Maybe I'll wake up for once, not tormented daily
this guy off, bro. Gotcha. Oh! I killed Glacial Ranger again.
Twisted little indiscretions. I've got no right to win. I'm just caught up in all the battles. Locked and clutch, pushed in place. Hold your breath. Listen, I am a world before I am a man. I was a creature before I could stand. I will remember before I forget. Before I forget that. I am a world before I am a man. I was a creature before I could stand. I will remember before I forget. Before I forget that. It justifies my means. All I ever do is delay. But every time
Twitch and all
to play, the end of the road in my hand. It justifies my means. All I ever do is delay. My every attempt to evade the end of the road. I am a world before I am a man. I was a creature before I could stand. I will remember before I forget. Before I forget that. I am a world before I am a man. I was a creature before I could stand. I will remember before I forget. Before I forget that. I am a world before I am a man. I was a creature before I could stand. I will remember before I forget. Before I forget that.
Four Glacial and 4 Ranger. Fucking asshole took it. Oh, Aatrox. They take it? Someone took it! Fuck. Oh well. That. What do we need this thing for? responsibility to win in any game. Oh, whoops. They're gonna jump. Whatever. Only two of them. What is this? I guess better Ash than Kindred. At the current moment. This bitch has my... Okay.
I push my fingers into my eyes. It's the only thing that slowly stops the ache. But it's made of all the things I have to take. Jesus never ends. It works its way inside.
Oh! No! 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 Relax. I passed up Ash and I passed up Oh my god. Oh, but I need that Varus for level 3. Ah! There we go. As much as I wanted that item, this is the level 3 Varus. I don't know if it's as good as the item with someone else, especially on a ranger team, but additional. Paris is tearing shit up. Come on, Twitch. Ah, there you go. Pick one out. I got 4 mages already. Mage. I was thinking that I'm not winning this. Fucker, give me something. There we go. No! Kill it! Oh! Oh! Shit! Fuck. Shit! No! Ah! No! Fuck! This dickhead! I'm so fucking terrible. I passed up so much. Oh, I passed up with Twitch. I passed up with Ezreal. I passed up with Ash. Fucking bullshit.
I am very, very crazy, very sure no one could ever stop
This is so
me.
bad.
This web is crazy, and it consumes it wanting more. 2, 3, 4. Welcome to our dinner party in the moonlight. Everyone seems to let's enjoy the feast. I can't stop eating, can't stop, not
shouldn't. Oh, I should have spaced them out. Where I'm on one side of it, fuck the buff. Just put them so that they don't get clustered, blown up together.
Everything, let's throw it on the chopping board. Let's strike down our sanity and prey upon it. Can't stop eating. Can't stop, lost myself. I can't erase this disgrace. But this crime is no mistake. You are very, very like a berry, ripe and red, ready to eat. Tell me what
fucking first.
juicy fresh, there's no contest. Very, very, we are very foolish people, gushing with lies. Without a trace they vanish, and they are never seen again. I just want to eat how tasty it is.
I'm gonna die.
Go ahead, call it sin, that's what it is. Call it what you want, no shame in it. Instinct, oh so devilish, and your appetite is the catalyst. I am very, very crazy, very sure no one could ever stop me. Now that you had your fill with killer karma, I wanna go. Very, very tasty, very satisfying. Let's have a toast. This web is craving the world, and it consumes it, wanting more. I am very, very hungry, very, very, very tasty, very. I am very, very hungry, very, very, very tasty, very. I am very, very hungry, very, very, very tasty, very. I am very, very hungry, very, very, very tasty, very.
Give me.
Boy, you better put a lid on it. You don't know what it's like to get your head lumped in. Cause you keep flapping those gums like you the boss till you shake your chin. Oh no, you don't know what it's like to get your head lumped in. Cause you keep flapping those gums, so just run along. Cause you don't want none. Let me take you back, so back in time to make the front page news, living lives of crime. Cause we ran moonshine, outlaws to be exact. We did something new and we never turned back. 6 shots, point blank, aiming at your face. I'm a quick draw, then I'm gone without a trace. And no rob or bank, world cheat and steal. Derail a fucking train, cause you know that I will. You need to pay your dues or get cement shoes. And we're still on the run, the most ruthless grow. You don't know what it's like to get your head lumped in. Cause you keep flapping those gums like you the boss till you shake your chin. Oh no, you don't know what it's like to get your head lumped in. Cause you keep flapping those gums, so just run along. Cause you don't want none. I'm a heartbreak kid, I'm a stick-up kid. Bang, bang, Tommy gun, you's a punk-ass bitch. Knocked out one punch like a superhero. Hang up, crapped out, now you're back to zero. Boom, bing, pow, King Kong, no doubt. Like a prohibition, I'ma have to dry you out. You'll be picking up your teeth straight off of the ground. I'm a switchblade shake, you know how word gets around. All bets are in, I see you roll the dice. Looks like another 7, it's the end of your life. You don't know what it's like to get your head lumped in. Cause you keep flapping those gums like you the boss till you shake your chin. Oh no, you don't know what it's like to get your head lumped in. Cause you keep flapping those gums, so just run along. Cause you don't want none. It's no matter, just a matter of time. It don't matter to 3, it ain't no matter of mine. If you keep your mouth shut, then you'll be just fine. If you keep running gums, you better look out behind. You see, you baby.
Ah! Now he's being a fucking faggot. Fucking idiot. And there you go, yeah. Fucking loser. Fucking dummy son. Get my stupid dead one. now. Come on! Where's my jungler? I don't fucking pay attention to my map. I don't give a fuck. I'll just keep dying. Until it eventually works out. I didn't get it. Oh, that was stupid. Oh, well. I'm more fun. That's all that matters. Fuck! What the fuck? Oh, shit. Punch and set! Oh, I didn't click it. Stupid bitch. Should've stayed camping. I lied. Fucking loser. I think that's how.
Why not fucking talk?
I think Tom is a better choice. Everyone can go mid. Ah! Boom! Ah! Get that. Stop it, you fuck. You do. I have Doom, but I never played it. Dog. Fuck, forget this. Get it? Okay, yeah. I should have piled right there. You used it on the first one. Wow. Oh, you guys fucking suck. Why is Doom awesome?
Is this gonna be? Series in the right direction, but could also settle into a nice spot within the ultra-competitive first-person shooter market. Just imagine how hard it is to bring a series back to life when the latest entry came out back in 2004, and arguably wasn't even the same genre of game that the originals were. Doom 3 played more like a horror game from what I recall, but Doom 2016 is a whole different barrel of demons. But has the passage of time made us forget what the Doom series was all about? What defines it? What about the new Snap Map feature? Was that any good? Or the multiplayer? Does this game truly recapture the magic of the originals in every aspect? Was the transition to modern day rough or smooth? Well, let's smack the shit out of some demons, run with Sonic-like speed, and chainsaw our way straight into this. When I think of the most influential video games in this now multi-billion-dollar industry, I think of games like Pong, Super Mario Brothers, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter 2, Half-Life 1 and 2, Metal Gear Solid, World of Warcraft, Grand Theft Auto 3, Ocarina of Time, BioShock, Dark Souls, and of course, Doom. But besides Pong and Half-Life and arguably BioShock, you might have noticed that every game I listed is within a series that encountered unprecedented success and still going strong to this day. Prior to 2016, Doom had essentially fallen off the face of Mars. I mean, everyone who's played a video game knows about it, but for many years I feel like gamers looked at Doom as a series past its prime, that had its golden moment in history and was nothing more than a once influential game that now belongs in a museum. Ironically enough, Duke Nukem and Doom were both going through a period of development hell simultaneously, and when Duke Nukem Forever hit the shelves, it was just shit. So after that colossal blunder, no doubt fans awaiting the next installment of Doom were pretty nervous. I mean, so much had changed since Doom was at the forefront of gaming. Could this iteration really adapt to the current market? Could it do what it did 23 years ago and still be fun and successful? Duke Nukem and Doom were titans of their time that just couldn't seem to claw their way back to mainstream relevance. But that all changed when the Demon Nation attacked. It's pretty goddamn mind-blowing that Bethesda and id Software joined forces to create this game. And yeah, id Software is definitely not made up of the same people back from 1993, but it's the same company, you know, it's part of their identity. What better way to recreate the timeless magic of old gold than through the original company who made it? It's like having Mark Hamill return as Luke Skywalker 34 years later in The Last Jedi. Oh god, no, not like that. So instead of droning on about the history of Doom, yada yada yada, I'll just let the man on stage sum it up for me.
In 1993, a small studio named id Software made a first-person shooter called Doom that forever changed gaming. First-person shooters became a phenomenon, Deathmatch was born, and Doom became a cultural icon. To this day, Doom is considered one of the most important and influential games in the history of our industry.
But the foundation of any Doom experience, past or present, is unquestionably combat that's centered around three things: badass demons, big effing guns. That's right. And moving really, really fast.
I think once people heard this short description, they were totally on board, and it appeared like id Software and Bethesda knew what people were looking for. The potential for this game to be a complete flop, a total failure, and an insult to the legacy of Doom was massive. But it didn't turn out that way at all. So if you're confused about what kind of tone this game would go for, your confusion is alleviated in the first 40 seconds. Doom lets you know it ain't gonna pull no punches. Nah, instead it fucking throws them. Yeah, right in the face. If you want to talk story, it's pretty simple, and we'll get into that later on. But you wake up on Mars in the midst of a demonic invasion, and you've got to crack some skulls, shatter some kneecaps, and send those wretched creatures screaming back to hell. Oftentimes, video games will have overly tedious tutorials that stop you every 5 seconds to let you know how to press the A button, with tons of exposition and explanation of the mechanics, and it can really drone on. But not here. Much like the movement of the game itself, Doom gets you up to speed with its mechanics very quickly and doesn't waste your time. Every gun has 2 methods of fire, and partway through the first mission, you're given an attachment by these friendly, cute field drones. And Doom Guy says, "Thanks, you piece of shit!" In this tutorial, you're taught how to clamber, explore for secret items, hidden caches of weapons, etc. And every time you pick up a new weapon, you get this cool animation that shows it off. It gets you acquainted with the design. Within your first couple of fights, you should instantly understand that standing still is a death wish. You should understand how the game is meant to be played. After a 12-year hiatus in one of the most iconic gaming franchises of all time, the importance of a tutorial that teaches you everything you need to know in such a short amount of time cannot be understated. Less tutorial means more demon killing. So you find your sexy-ass nostalgia-filled power armor that is most certainly not for pussies. You get introduced to some robotic voice, push that fucking monitor out of your face, and are on your way, picking up a shotgun and getting straight to work. After shooting your way through an assload of enemies, you arrive at an elevator, and this is where the game really kicks off.
I'm willing to take full responsibility for the horrible events of the last 24 hours, but you must understand, our interest in their world was purely for the betterment of mankind. Everything has clearly gotten out of hand now, yes. But it was worth the risk, I assure you.
Fuck yeah, you punch that fucking voice, that piece of shit voice, he don't know you. Doom Guy is back, baby. These first 5 minutes are a perfect representation of what to expect throughout the rest of the game, with Doom Guy feeling just
fucking him
as
up.
badass,
Go
if not
team!
more so to this generation of gamers than he was to gamers back in 1993. Playing through Doom is an experience that gets you fucking jacked, ready to go, ready to kill, and nothing gets you more pumped up than seeing Doom Guy solve every single problem with his fists or an endless stream of bullets. And it's because Doom brings all these radical feelings and emotions out of the player that leads me to my next point. I apologize in advance for the copious amounts of swearing, expletives, and testosterone-fueled rampages in this video.
fucking suck.
But I can't fucking help it, dude. This game's music and tone gets you hyped like none other. So, Bethesda and id, you're telling me the premise of this game is that I'm the most feared man alive, known to demons as the Doomslayer, and I get a whoop ass with some of the most awesome weapons, while accompanied by a visceral, hardcore, ear-piercing, bass-pounding, metal-as-fuck soundtrack? Hook it up to my veins! Everything about Doom is a rush. The music, flow of combat, the glory kills. But it's not such a dopamine-filled adventure that doesn't have quiet moments too. However, there is one core flaw, one crippling, mind-boggling decision that was made behind the scenes that almost makes me want to put Doom down and never play it again. Why is there an option to turn the music off? Who would pick this option, and why is it in the options menu? But seriously, even like going through the options and setting your controller inputs and whatnot, listen to the fucking soundtrack. If there was an award category for greatest music that plays while you adjust the brightness, I think Doom would win it. There's something otherworldly about Doom's soundtrack. It feels like whatever actions the player makes, the game itself responds and reacts to those actions. When you're mowing down demons and you run up to glory kill them, the soundtrack notices this and almost freezes that moment in time, before whatever godforsaken creature is put down for good. It's like a cinematic hit, like this. This is a game where the player's inputs contribute to the soundtrack. You know, I used to think there were few musical gods in the video game industry, but now I know Mick Gordon is one of them. Like, good job, man. This soundtrack is unlike anything I've ever experienced in a video game. And you people watching this, is there any other soundtrack that sounds at all similar to what you're listening to right now? What's crazy to think is the music for this game was, in my opinion, nearly completely ruined. According to Mick Gordon, imagine if Bethesda and id stayed the course, stuck to their guns and said, no metal music in Doom. Well, thank the fucking Doomslayer they ended up giving Gordon more creative freedom, because otherwise I probably wouldn't be talking about the soundtrack. It would have been some generic sci-fi piece of crap. When the music stops so frequently, yeah, it might get slightly annoying at times, but this is what makes each playthrough unique. The music wasn't created in the simplest way where you just have the piece and play it in the background. Doing that can often result in the music not reflecting what's happening on screen. The moments you enter and exit combat, perform glory kills, or kill a gore nest all have these transitory audio effects, which basically means the soundtrack can stop on a dime and move into a different part of the song seamlessly. So by combining Doom's hardcore metal with its quiet pieces and subtle transitions, what we have here is a soundtrack that follows the player and maintains powerful immersion with them throughout the entire game. Mick Gordon has created a soundtrack that is never out of sync or out of tune with the player's actions, and that to me is unheard of. But I just went on a huge tangent. Where was I? Oh yeah, that's right. The feeling Doom gives the player, the feeling of complete control. Whenever I talk about controls in a game review, I'll usually say 1 or 2 sentences about it if it's awesome, and plenty more if it's bad. Because similar to the user interface, it's the type of thing that you just don't really notice unless something is wrong with it. Or it's really, really good. Contrary to Doom 3, the 2016 version is empowerment captured in its purest form. Because horror games are meant to strip you of your power in order to frighten the player and make it seem like you can't actually battle this threat. Doom Guy is always in control, and therefore, so are you. He seeks revenge, doesn't back down, doesn't use stealth, doesn't hide. That shit's for pussies. You hear that, Solid Snake? Now at first, playing Doom felt strange to me. I wasn't used to moving this fast without having to lower my gun and sprint. I wasn't accustomed to not constantly mashing the X button to reload after every firefight. I wasn't used to playing a shooter that gave me a map screen, that rewarded me for exploring. And then I realized that throughout the majority of my time playing shooter campaigns, many of the FPS games that employ these mechanics were actually hindering my fun. I spend so much time getting accustomed to modern AAA games and how similar they all are, how linear, how by the books, that I forgot there are actual benefits to removing sprint, linearity, and yes, even reloading in a first-person shooter. Of course, not every game should try to copy Doom, but the point I want to make is the game ends up feeling so unique because these mechanics aren't disrupting the flow of gameplay at all. Let's talk about QuickTime events. Oh yes, the thing that most gamers would tell you is an unnecessary cheap gimmick that adds nothing to the game. Press F to pay respects. Anyone remember that meme? That was the pinnacle of QuickTime events. Oh, but in Doom? Yeah, they actually work in here because if you open a door, you have to actually fucking open it. I don't know about you, but part of me always felt it was kind of weird when you were playing a shooter and your character was supposed to open a door, press a button,
give me
flip a
that
vehicle or whatever,
I should have done
and it
that
automatically. It's not a bad thing though because it keeps you in control, but in order to make the player feel the beats of the game, the combat, the quiet, and everything in between, these QuickTime events serve as those natural momentary pauses. They give you a much needed chance to breathe. They are exactly that, quick. No button mashing bullshit. There's no tedious factor to this. Part of the fun of Doom comes from watching how Doom Guy handles things around him. Whether he's pushing a button, pulling a key card off a corpse, punching a field drone, we all get a sense of the sum of all these small actions. Boy, I never thought I'd spend any amount of time talking about QuickTime events in a video game without mentioning how shit most of them are. Resident Evil 4 made me accept QuickTime events, but Doom 2016 made me like them. So now that we know the control is fucking perfect, what's the next logical step? The gameplay.
4, 3, 2, 1.
I love how barely half a year after Doom came out, companies such as EA started saying shit like, "Oi mate, gamers don't want linear single player games. Crikey, you can't make as much money off a single player because it's not a live service." Andrew Wilson, you're absolutely right. What we need is more of this. Because this is way more cool and fun than this. Doom is the perfect example of why this sentiment needs to fuck off. At its core, Doom is unapologetic. The game could care less about how the industry has warped your expectations since its long hiatus. It's hard to figure out where I need to go, says the gamer. Fuck you, replies Doom. Figure it out. What are you, a bitch? Can't find your way through hell? Here, take this copy of Kitty Cat Squirt Gun Battle. You can play it over at Weenie Hut Juniors. I'm sure you'll feel right at home, pussy. I love this. Doom does its own thing, fully commits to it, and doesn't baby talk the player. You'd think that in this day and age of ultra-sensitive pussies and the widespread plague of the cult of outrage, that a series that has been mired in controversies and accused of inspiring mass shootings would, maybe try to play it a little safe. Wouldn't want Doom Guy to be too masculine because then the women's might feel the imaginary firm grip of the patriarchy around their throats. Oh, you better not show gratuitous violence because that's bad, and OMG, there's been 8 billion shootings across the world since Doom came out. Coincidence? Whoa, 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 you can't show that satanic imagery. That's gonna recruit young kids into worshiping Satan.
Inside of these video games is actually the devil and the demons.
Amongst all this bullshit people are throwing onto the game industry, Doom doesn't give a flying fuck. You either play it and like it or don't, and it doesn't care. It's so fucking sweet and awesome when you realize Doom 2016 is essentially the release of all the pent-up frustration of gamers in the gaming community from being attacked over the years.
That older men were using Grand Theft Auto 3 as a murder and carjacking simulator.
Eat a dick, Jack Thompson. You think you can talk shit about GTA and get away with it?
Distilled down to its essence, the plot device works by trading the disempowerment of female characters for the empowerment of male characters.
Get destroyed, Anita. You're too fragile for this hardcore shit.
He was trained to kill with Call of Duty.
Suck on this, Christians. Oh no, the children are gonna be indoctrinated
You
into
fucking
joining
idiot.
Satanist cults? Ha! You fucking idiots, don't make me laugh! Woo! It feels so good. The sweet release. Hardcore metal and badassery aside, let's actually discuss gameplay. Well, without a doubt, Doom 2016 took heavy inspiration from
Fuck
its
you,
origins. The flow of combat, a variety of enemies with different strengths and weaknesses, secret areas, and an uncompromising commitment to fun. Doom gives new meaning to the phrase, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. The game is based around the concepts of moving fast to dodge incoming attacks while focusing on shooting. You'll notice there's no need for sprint, there's no need for thruster packs, there's no need for ground pounds or wall running or grappling hooks, there's no need for aiming down sights. It is as classic and cool as it gets, and it parallels the designs of the original games pretty much perfectly. Throughout the game, your arsenal of weapons gets larger, as does the difficulty and combination of enemies. The weapons and sandbox of this game is incredibly fun and versatile. The double-barreled shotgun is devastating up close. The minigun lets you spray bullets all over the place. Plasma rifle lets you suppress the enemies and burn them to a crisp. The chainsaw lets you mutilate those pathetic demons. And the BFG is your get-out-of-jail-free card. I could go on and on about the weapons and how perfect they are in tandem with the enemies and just how fun they are to use. But I want to take a minute to segue into the design of the enemies. As explained by Mark Brown in his video, What We Can Learn from Doom, what makes the game so fun is the straightforward design of every single enemy, and how the game makes the player understand what each one of them does. I highly recommend watching that video because it's incredibly relevant to this game just as it was for the original. But we see this unique design from the lowly possessed all the way up to the intimidating barons of hell. You will never be confused by the tactics the enemies use against you. For example, imps are rather weak up close, but have numbers on their side and throw fireballs from range. Hellraisers are the snipers which will try to take you out from afar, forcing you to dodge their attacks and get up in their face. Hell Knights are burly, up-close brawlers that put the pressure on you. Summoners are floating, telekinetic supporters. Every enemy has its strengths, weaknesses, and strategies. For instance, the Kako demons are huge balls that hover in the air, making close weapons like the shotgun not as useful. However, the Gauss cannon is perfect against them because they are such a big target and don't move fast. Similarly, the Mancubus is an armored fat-ass tank that can be easily outmaneuvered, but deadly up close if you're not careful. All the demons have weak points which you'll learn to exploit over time, like the Pinkies who will charge recklessly at you and leave their backs exposed. To summarize the core gameplay, I'll paraphrase and reiterate what Mark Brown said. The secret of Doom's fun factor is in the nitty-gritty combat, and how every battle turns into something of a dance of careful positioning and rapid-fire decisions. And in fact, the game has made several improvements from its original, where oftentimes you would have to backtrack to find health packs, armor, ammo, that sort of thing if you got to a tough area. But this time, there's a workaround for that. Going for glory kills will ensure health drops, and chainsaw kills will automatically give you more ammo. So it's not as unforgiving as the original. They really nailed all the little details, like being able to set your weapon in the classic placement. I honestly believe these types of design choices could have only been made by a company that truly cared about fan service and the fans. There's so many little things I probably wouldn't notice or mention, but that I'm sure the hardcore fans will appreciate to no end. But behind the actual combat lies a lot of depth and a surprising amount of customization. The game is heavily based around the concept of exploration, discovery, and progression. And it's got some very appreciated light RPG mechanics. Some of the secrets require you to be attentive to your surroundings. You need to think critically if you want the reward. There's tons of secret areas that'll give you special ammo, collectibles, armor, health, etc. Now, one of the few gripes I have with Doom is if you're even a little bit OCD about collecting things, you'll be checking your map constantly, which can interrupt the game. But that's really just a personal thing. So by exploring the levels around you and not trying to race through the game as fast as possible, you are rewarded with upgrade tokens for your guns, your armor, and attachments for your There's also Argent Energy Capsules, which permanently increase your health, ammo, or armor, giving you a choice of what you think you need most. One of the coolest things about Doom are the secret levers, hidden in every single mission. Which are hard to find and reveal a throwback level from the original game, which also unlocks a classic level. I was blown away the first time I found one. That type of throwback is very much appreciated, and the transition between the old and new graphics was hilarious to witness and a symbol of how far we've come since then. But it's not just through the secrets within each level that your character becomes stronger. You've got rune trials, which give you passive bonuses. They're unique, can fit your playstyle, so it's essential to unlock each one. And each level has its own set of challenges, which earn you weapon upgrade tokens. There's challenges for your guns. Doing special things with them or killing a certain number of enemies in a time frame will allow you to get the strongest weapons possible. The best thing about Doom's campaign is you're not just mindlessly shooting demons down a linear path until the game ends, but you're trying to get the most upgrades possible. You're strategically thinking about what to unlock and when. It's all about finding which weapons you like best, which attachment suits you, and what to invest your points in, which adds a lot of variety to each and every playthrough of Doom. Classic video game power-ups also make a return. You've got stuff like Haste, which turns you into a manlier version of Sonic. There's Quad Damage, which gives you quad damage. And my personal favorite, Berserk, which gives you the combined strength of Mike Tyson, Andre the Giant, The Rock, John Cena, and every single person that's ever been strong. And lets you punch any demon, big or small, for the insta-kill. God, I love these animations. Now to rewind back to QuickTime events, once again, in combat they work just as well, but renamed Glory Kills. And these are fucking epic. It shows how badass Doom Guy is. He doesn't just shoot the demons, he rips their eyes out, tears off their horns, and stabs them with it. He'll crush their skulls with the might of 1,000 paladins. Performing Glory Kills not only rewards you with health drops, but gives you a sick animation to watch. The game is giving you positive reinforcement through the gameplay and visuals. Combined with the sick as fuck Mick Gordon soundtrack, Doom campaign and gameplay is one of the best single-player first-person shooters I've ever played. Especially in this current era of gaming where companies think investing in single-player modes isn't worth it, Doom lets everyone in the industry know just how fucking stupid that is.
Story time.
before we jump into the multiplayer, let's discuss the story briefly. Well, unlike most PlayStation exclusives that bludgeon you over the head with 30-minute photorealistic unskippable cutscenes played by famous film actors, Doom's story is a lot more subdued. Now, I'm not talking shit about those PlayStation games, I'm just saying sometimes you just want to play. Essentially, you are the Doomslayer, a man so notorious and powerful the tides of hell trembled in fear against his unstoppable onslaught.
He scoured the Umbral Plains, seeking vengeance against the Dark Lords who had wronged him. He wore the crown of the Night Sentinels, and those that tasted the bite of his sword named him the Doomslayer.
Side note, it's really cool you get some backstory and insight into the Doomslayer when you're actually in hell. I thought that was a really neat touch. Anyways, your goal is to stop the demonic invasion on Mars, and to do this you work with Vega, an artificial intelligence, and Samuel Hayden, a man who turned into a robot. And the woman responsible for this is Olivia Pierce. The plot that unravels is your typical sci-fi, humans try to capture and harness an extremely dangerous and volatile energy, alien or whatever. It ends up going terribly wrong and you've got to save the day.
Ripley, think of all we could learn from it. It's the chance of a lifetime.
It's predictable and not the most engaging story. However, as George Lucas once said,
it's stylistically designed to be that way, and you can't undo that.
Waste your time killing me while they obliterate everyone
because
on
if
the team.
Doom's story was any more engaged, any more emphasized, any more forced, it would take away from Doom Guy's role in it. Your role. Doom Guy is there to kill demons and fuck them up. The story is there to set the framework for the gameplay and give you an excuse to run around shooting things. In this sense, if the story had twice as many cutscenes and dialogue, it would just add a forced narrative. So I can understand if people were disappointed with the story, but this way it shifts the emphasis onto the gameplay itself, which is much more engaging. However, to combat this lackluster narrative, the game includes plenty of codexes, lore, history, and things to read. This was the perfect choice, because it allows the player to learn more about the world, universe, lore, and history on their own time instead of on the game's time. What I love about Doom Guy is how his actions are the polar opposite of most video game protagonists. You know, when Cortana tells you to walk into that glowing beam of light, you do it because she told you to, because she knows where the next mission's gonna take place. Or when Woods tells you to keep quiet so you can sneak through the Soviet forces, you know, you do it because he told you to. But Doom Guy doesn't need a fucking guide.
We're only temporarily disabling the tower. You need to remove each lens individually. Carefully release the hinges.
He doesn't need to do what people tell him to. In a nutshell, Doom's story is downplayed so that the gameplay is given more opportunities to shine, so that forced cutscenes and a forced narrative don't distract from what is at the heart of the experience. And if you care to learn more, it's all there in the brilliantly written and intriguing codex.
Mininar, fucking run. He'll kill us.
But how does the multiplayer fare? Because Doom back in its heyday wasn't just about the single player. You had maps, mods, modes, ports. The beginnings of the online era of gaming really started here. So 23 years later, and here we are. And it's underwhelming, to say the least. But not in the sense that it just plain old sucks like Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Doom's multiplayer is underwhelming, similar to Halo 4, because of a failure to recapture the series' identity. And wouldn't you know, it's the same company that helped create both, Certain Affinity. Don't get me wrong, it's not an awful multiplayer component. It can be pretty fun, and honestly, it's refreshing because it's different. But the problem is Doom's single player stayed true to its origins, and the multiplayer does not. It has been modernized. May I ask a simple question? Who the hell asked for loadouts in an arena shooter? What's the point? Oh, I'll tell you. It's because multiplayer games can't just be good fun. They need to have a progression system. You need to unlock stuff so you feel good even if you suck. They got these demon power-ups which let you take control of a demon. It essentially acts in a very similar way to ordnance drops, which is kind of scary to think about. Adding that random power spike to whichever lucky player happens upon it. You know, it's pretty cool, it spices things up, letting you play as the demon, so I'm not hating on that. And yes, even the loadouts are fun to customize, but it's not what Doom was about. And I'll say it right now, this multiplayer is leagues better than Halo 4. It's got a bunch of super creative game modes like freeze tag, it has incredible versatile map design, there's plenty of ways to maneuver around, unique gimmicks like going out into space. The actual gameplay is pretty great. The shooting, the controls, all of it's pretty fun. So back to loadouts. The classic arena shooters of the olden days were all about running around the map super fast, picking up weapons, and collecting an arsenal. Not only was movement fast, but player reaction times had to be as well. You couldn't pause or slow down the game to switch to the right weapon for the current situation. You had to do that in the heat of the moment. I just don't see any good reason why the entire multiplayer had to be designed around a 2-weapon loadout system. At least have some type of mode or playlist that's classic that gives players the classic Arena Doom experience. Another thing that bugs me is the announcer.
Secure and defend the zone.
You know how games like Unreal Tournament, Quake, and Halo all kind of started this trend of badass announcers? Yeah, that's one of the core pieces of an arena shooter. First blood. However, despite how fucking cool Doom is stylistically, the choice of announcer, while fitting with the story, is lame.
Incoming gas can.
Vega doesn't sound Doom-like. He didn't need to be the announcer, and his pleasant robotic demeanor doesn't represent the kick-ass gameplay all that well. The other piece of modernization is, and I couldn't even believe it when I saw it. Couldn't even believe it after playing the multiplayer. Fucking emotes. Really? Really? Let's say someone comes to Doom, and they never played the original games, never saw much about them, but knows about the series, and they hop straight into the multiplayer and they see this. And you know what they're gonna think? They're gonna be like, wow, so this is what Doom is about. Wow, I didn't realize this game was so gay. Like, what was the conversation they had in the board meeting? Hey, we've got this super awesome single player revolving around killing demons with kick-ass weapons, but what should we add into the multiplayer to make it more cool and hip? Oh, I know. Why don't we give players the options to dance around like a goddamn cheerleader? That's cool. That's what the kids like these days, yeah? These emotes are lame, dude. They are so lame in contrast to how kick-ass the rest of the experience is. The modernization of Doom's multiplayer is lame and totally contradicts that masterpiece of a single player, because the campaign stayed true to its roots while the multiplayer did not. Multiplayer has the same principles as the campaign, they just play differently. It's pretty fun for casual play, and I kinda like it that way because it's something that doesn't draw your focus away from the main attraction. At least Doom's multiplayer didn't try to be a fucking e-sport. So for this section, I'm going to throw in difficulty, snap map, and overall content into one. Now, I've never been terribly good at using in-game tools to create maps, whether it be StarCraft, Warcraft 3 custom games, Gmod, Forge from Halo. It's a real shame that I can't dedicate more time to these things and actually finish maps because all that time goes to making videos. Yeah, the thing you're watching. The snap map in Doom is pretty incredible, and I only got a taste of it just messing around. And I'm judging that based on what I can see it do. Possible. I mean, it's really given Halo 5 a run for its money. Come to think of it, the armor customization kind of looks like Halo a bit. And they got this mode Clan Arena, which kind of seems like Breakout. Anyways, these types of modes and tools, when given to the player, ensure the game will never run out of content. Scrolling through these menus, it's pretty overwhelming too. I mean, I don't even know where to start. The fact that you can actually script AI and enemies in a console game is not only revolutionary, but it just opens up so many possibilities. People have created things like farming simulators, escort missions, custom single-player levels, you name it. It's all here. So there's a mode for the more creative, artistic-driven gamers to experiment with. For my first playthrough, I chose Hurt Me Plenty difficulty, aka normal mode. and it was fun yet challenging. I think it speaks volumes to how well-tuned the challenge is when I can say I was never frustrated or felt like I hit a wall. The only thing that annoyed me was some platforming stuff, but that's just because I was playing like a fucking idiot. So now that I've beaten the game, now that I know the mechanics, I can't wait to up the ante and play it on Ultra Violence, Nightmare, or even Ultra Nightmare. Replayability for the campaign is very strong. It's definitely appealing to completionists and those that want to find every nook, cranny, and secret the game has to offer. And just in case you thought you'd experienced it all, there's an arcade mode too. If you don't want to worry about collectibles or weapon upgrades or anything, this is the mode for you. It's great to kick back and play this without the commitment of really having to pay attention to the finer details. But wait, there's more. Right now, if you pull that lever and find the secret entrance, we'll throw in the ability to play classic Doom levels for free. And what a trip it is, honestly. I mean, goddamn, Doom is absolutely loaded with content. From the campaign to arcade mode, throwback levels, snap map, multiplayer, it's beyond worth its initial price tag. And if you're ever having a discussion about what a game should offer for $60, make sure you bring up Doom, because it's the front runner, the paragon. The game gives you the ultimate fan service, the ultimate variety, and packs in a few surprises that you wouldn't expect. And that's the real kicker for video games. When a company is able to put so much effort into making their product that the consumers are surprised by how much bang they got for their buck. I am so happy I finally decided to check out Doom 2016, and I just had to make a video on it, even though I'm 2 years late, and we're already coming up on the sequel Doom Eternal. I think gamers throughout all these years have needed something like Doom to be one of the front runners of the game industry, to represent us, this hobby we love and the fun we enjoy. The long hiatus of Doom, one of the top 3 most influential gaming franchises, needed to end. It's almost like modern gaming had lost its way without Doom to remind people what was special about video games and shooters in the first place. Doom needs a place in the industry because Mario is like the front man who makes all the non-gaming folk feel like it's a cheerful, happy place, and then Doom guy strolls in, smacks them right in the face, and tells them it ain't all rainbows and daisies, there's hardcore shit in here too. The Snap Mat feature was a welcome addition, and you know, whatever limitations you see it having, this is a great stepping stone to something epic, something to rival the Forge mode in Halo. This is gonna force other companies to step up their game if they want to compete with Doom. The soundtrack was simply stunning, enemy design phenomenal, story passable, and core gameplay unparalleled. The single player is simply a masterpiece that any fan of shooters needs to play. If you haven't already, you need to experience this for yourself to truly appreciate it. While the multiplayer doesn't stay true to its roots, it can still be a lot of fun to play if you can get over the modernization. Doom 2016 could have easily been a vapid, poor excuse of a game made only to sell itself based off nostalgia. Doom wasn't just a callback to the origins of first-person shooters. It was also a return to form. And that is why Doom 2016 is so... What's this? Dark Souls? Well, I've heard of it. They say it's pretty hard. But at this point in time, the game's difficulty hasn't been beaten like a dead horse. To look around, talk to people, or read item descriptions. Anyways, at surface value, one might look at Dark Souls and think, ugh, just another generic RPG with dragons, knights, swords, and magic. How many times have we seen that? I bet it was made by British people, too. But then once you start getting into it, it's like, wait a minute, why am I ringing 2 bells? Who the fuck's this asshole? What the shit? Oh, there's demons now? Okay. Man, what's with the goddamn poison? What is this place? I was just in a swamp killing giant mosquitoes, then I find this huge tree, and now I'm on this enormous lake fighting a 7-headed dragon and fucking clams? What am I playing right now? What the hell is that? Why does that dragon look so weird? Why is it breathing crystals and shit? Ah! And it's this idea of not knowing. These questions in your mind that you don't have answers for. This feeling of being out of the loop on everything but the bare essentials that creates this undying morbid curiosity. Shit's pretty fucked up in Lordran, and you want to find out why. That's one of Dark Souls' greatest strengths, is it's so atypical in its presentation. Most mainstream games are pretty straightforward in this regard because they need to have a story that babies can understand, which makes it all the more puzzling how Dark Souls was able to appeal to such a wide audience, because you can't go through the game and not be constantly asking questions. The plot is minimalistic, and it's up to the player to come to their own conclusions. You fill in the blanks, and there's a fuck ton of blanks to fill in. You see this, Sea of Thieves? That's how you create your own fun. Now, there's always the possibility that by making your story vague and confusing, it ends up making no sense and being vague and confusing. But then there's the other side where you have a unclear story, but the experience is so enchanting it makes you want to know more.
Would you like to know more?
And that's what Dark Souls accomplishes, so it doesn't fall into the plain old just bad storytelling category. But let's pull back this layer of dragon scales and actually look at what Dark Souls offers within its narrative. Let's take a look at the depth within the onion. I think anytime there's a series of books, movies, TV shows, video games, or whatever, and there's enough interest in the lore and background of that series to fuel 1.2 million subscribers into a YouTube channel, yeah, I think it's safe to say people are interested. The amount of fan theories and lore explanation videos on this series should tell you all you need to know about how involved gamers are with the story. An interesting tidbit I read was the idea that the item descriptions in-game are actually the player character's thoughts. Probably not true, but some items become much more interesting when you look at things that way. And that's the great thing about interpretive stories, the way you look at it. Dark Souls is fucking deep. You don't need me to tell you that. And there's plenty of reasons why. So many that I don't have time to explain them all. Well, for one, ambient music is basically non-existent. There's a total of 4 areas in the entire game, excluding boss battles, where music plays. Firelink Shrine, Daughters of Chaos Bonfire, Guinevere's hot and steamy bedroom, and Ash Lake. If you played through Dark Souls, then you know each one of these areas are vitally important, and the music creates a unique tone and feeling for each one. Sadness and sorrow, hope and faith, magnificence and awe, warm and welcoming. This lack of music creates a feeling of isolation for the majority of the experience, and this means there's nothing to distract you from the world you're in. The only things that follow you through Lordran are the sound of your footsteps and clanking armor, and it makes those moments when you hear music much more powerful as a result. The combat is deep too, and we'll talk about that a bit later, but what I find to be the single greatest thing about Dark Souls is how everything is connected, not just in map layout, but in items, bosses, enemies, NPCs. They all connect together to form a greater whole. Take the classic gameplay element of dying and respawning. In pretty much every other video game except BioShock, once again, the concept of respawning has little to no explanation at all, because it's just a video game. But in Dark Souls, death and respawns aren't just gameplay mechanics, they're part of the story. You are an undead, branded with the dark sign, which means you cannot truly die.
How do you kill that which has no life?
But each death brings you closer to hollowing, a concept we'll explore later on. So you're linked to the fire, you are linked to the flame, and as long as there are bonfires, you will keep coming back. It's not often you see a game that has justification for its gameplay mechanics written into its lore. Let me ask you, have you ever thought about what Estus actually is and why it heals you? Most people probably saw it as any other item that restores health, because it's just a video game. Hearts, potions, medkits, food, magical green herbs that definitely isn't weed, a harmonious melody. Games never explain why you get healed from this shit, because it really doesn't matter. But in Dark Souls, it does. Estus is bottled fire, people. That's why it refills at the bonfire. You capture the flame in your flask. Dark Souls is about disparity between life and death, fire and darkness, and the bonfires are beacons of life. Miracles come from Gwyn and his faithful knights. Pyromancy comes from the Witch of Izalith and her Daughters of Chaos. And sorcery comes from Seath the Dankless. These gameplay tools have reason to be in the game beyond their immediate use. You could run through the list of items, mechanics, tools, and weapons and connect each one of them as pieces to form the greater whole of Dark Souls' universe, story, and lore. And that's the beauty of this game. That's where the depth comes from. Now, the story, meaning, and purpose behind Dark Souls is riddled with obscurity and has plenty of room for different interpretations. And while I could turn this video into something that discusses nothing but the lore for 40 plus minutes, I'm more or less going to highlight what I think are the most important themes or messages that Dark Souls tries to hammer home. The things I learned. I encourage you to share your own thoughts as well. So we have the basic premise of the player being an undead in an asylum, where they're all corralled to await the end of the world.
This is your fate.
Well, that's a pretty shitty fate right there. But homeboy Oscar breaks you out because there's a prophecy. The chosen undead, who's supposed to travel to Lordran and ring the bells of awakening. And when you do that...
The fate of the undead thou shalt know.
So right off the bat, we want to know what's going to happen to the undead. What's going to happen to us, all these NPCs, all these, roaming hollows? That question is put into your mind from the very beginning. Cutscenes are rare, and none are more jam-packed with information than the opening. What this scene showcases is how man came to be, how they became gods, how they took the world by storm and destroyed the previous regime to create their own. When fire was created, we learned of our existence. We strove to discover, explore, and build, and we found soul within the flame, metaphorically and physically. Incidentally, you could look at the real-world discovery of fire by primitive man as arguably the most revolutionary thing to happen in the history of human beings. Once we found fire, the world was forever changed around us.
But remember one thing. Always fear the flame, lest you be devoured by it and lose yourself. I would hate to see that happen again.
So much of what Dark Souls presents is relatable to the real world. You can interpret the idea of prolonging the Age of Fire or ushering in the Age of Dark as a message on the rise and fall of civilizations. For example, the Roman Empire thrived for centuries, but eventually its flames faded, and despite their best efforts to keep the Age of Romans alive, nothing could stop the coming dark. How long will our age last? The old Roman deities were cast aside, replaced with a new god and his son. Just as you can become the harbinger of a new age in Dark Souls, the Age of Dark. The typical Lord of Darkness trope in fantasy stories works better in the world of Lordran than most other stories. I really enjoy the ambiguity of the endings because it's great for speculation, and what I saw in these endings is that they are rooted in polar opposite ideas, that of self-sacrifice and self-preservation, martyrdom or apathy. But as we all know,
Apathy is death.
Maybe Dark Souls is meant to portray the calamity and hopelessness of knowing the empire, the civilization you serve, the place you call home is coming to an end. How do you deal with the coming dread? In this sense, the undead and the dark could be seen as the always present threat of a tide of people who are bound to one day replace your way of life with their own.
Oh, heretic, swathed in dark, an eternal curse upon thee.
This theme of different ages collapsing and rising is present in both sequels, which means it's definitely something the designers wanted you to think about. One theme that sticks out very well in the Dark Souls experience is perseverance. Individually, the undead, or humans, are weak, fragile creatures. The enemies that don't outmatch you in size will simply outnumber you. Throughout the game, you encounter several bodies with helpful items, and while most of them could be looked at as simply items left by the developers for the player, I see a deeper meaning. Because why is it that most every item you find is tied to a corpse? Isn't that strange? It's because every one of those things was left behind by the person who died there. Individually, you suck. But as more and more undead travel to fulfill the prophecy, as undead are caught in the crossfire of all these colliding forces, at some point or another they finally succumb. So as you journey through Lordran, you encounter greater souls, better items, stronger weapons, all from others who made it farther than the last. Even in death, The undead that came before you are helping you by leaving something useful behind. You essentially get the accrued knowledge, weapons, skills, equipment, and items of every single traveler or unfortunate soul in Lordran, because you are destined to succeed where others have failed. You're the main character, after all.
As I explained earlier, I'm the main character.
The chosen undead. But this also ties in with the game's difficulty. As an undead, finding purpose and striving towards a goal is what keeps you from hollowing. A slow process where a person loses their mind and sanity. Every gamer's goal when playing Dark Souls is to beat it. But what of those who never did? What of those who ran up against a wall they couldn't climb, a tower they couldn't scale? They became the Hollows of Lordran. You see, you only become hollow when you quit. So by persevering through failure, you, the chosen undead, will feel great satisfaction when you overcome those challenges that gave you so much trouble. You will run up against an enemy that seems unbeatable. You will die, you will fail. But it doesn't matter how many times you are slain, how massive and impossible the road ahead might seem, because so long as you push against the inevitable and learn from failure, you will survive in Lordran and you will survive the real world. And you'll come out stronger than before, ready to take on the next challenge.
Oh, fuck.
Hollowing in the Dark Souls universe is one of the coolest concepts I've ever seen a game present. It's a microcosm of losing your purpose in the real world. It could also be seen as a metaphor for depression. Those that go hollow submit to their darkest feelings, their sadness, dread. They give up and lose themselves. Life is about overcoming challenges, solving problems, and carving some meaning out of your existence. What value does a person's life have if they don't strive to accomplish something? What satisfaction do you get from life when there are no problems to solve? Just as characters go hollow in Dark Souls, you too would go hollow in the real world if you did nothing with your life. There's far more to this game than meets the eye, and it's because of its open-ended method of storytelling that your interpretations might be different. They might be completely different. But no matter who you are or what you might think, just stay safe, friend, and don't you dare go hollow. Now when it comes to gameplay, the combat in Dark Souls has a lot of depth too. There's so many cool weapons and badass armor. In this game you can look like an onion, for Christ's sake. That's the armor Shrek would wear. Certain styles of weapons have different movesets, and everything has its advantages, disadvantages, and requirements. Except the Ring of Favor and protection. That's the best thing in the world. And you'll need to be smart about what you invest in. Pro tip, resistance is the best stat to level. I max it first. But this is where the currency, souls, what else did you think it would be, comes into effect. Souls are the lifeblood of your journey. If you die 2 times in a row without returning to the spot you first perished, you'll lose all the souls you had. You want to avoid this at all costs. But you also need to carry enough souls to be able to actually buy things, and I love this risk-reward playstyle that Dark Souls offers, because the 2-death system means that you didn't learn from your first mistake and you made it again, if you can't get back to the spot that you first died. There's plenty of builds to experiment with, and that's where the fun begins, because you can't realistically cover everything in one playthrough. You have to make decisions about what playstyle you like best, so you can optimize in it or try to find a general balance in between. Some weapons hit hard, but they weigh you down and are easy to dodge. Others can inflict status effects, and all the sets of armor offer different levels of protection. Dark Souls has an amazing and rewarding progression system, and on the opposite side, it can be brutally punishing too. Losing your souls and humanity too many times can set you back, and in my case, I felt I had to restart the game. But the knowledge I got from that initial playthrough stuck with me. It feels great to finally be able to use that sorcery spell you've had forever, or that giant great axe that looks badass, or to be able to not fat roll while wearing full havels. These accomplishments give power, satisfaction, and pride to the player because they happen both in the long term and the short term. Because if you're like me, then you're creating and improving your build throughout the entire game. Best part of it is, damn near everything is viable in PvE, especially dexterity, am I right, son bros? But the mechanics, the flow of combat is where the game truly shines, because it doesn't matter how upgraded your equipment is, how good your weapons are, if you can't manage this little green bar right here, if you can't dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge, and block, you ain't gonna get through shit. This green bar right here, this is your stamina, your soul, your life. Every action you take besides walking requires stamina, and it's the game's way of limiting what you're capable of. The entire game must be played around it, unless you play a cheesy glass cannon sorcery build, like a Queerbow. Keeping with the tradition of ambiguity, the only means of directly communicating with other players in front of you is through emotes that aren't sold in loot boxes for once. Holy shit! It adds a bit of comedy to the game, and it's the limitations of how you can communicate that makes it so fun. Against the AI, you have to anticipate the movements of your enemies. Charging in recklessly without a plan is bound to get you killed. Yeah, you might be able to set that first-person shooter to easy and take out everything without sweating, but Dark Souls doesn't have a difficulty setting, okay, bitch? You gotta be a man, or a woman. Every enemy is different, and most likely, you're going to die to each one of them at least once. However, this is where Dark Souls offers a level of mastery for the players to achieve. By learning the patterns and moves of your foes so well, you can fight them without even taking a hit. With enough time, practice, and patience, you can essentially trivialize the game across multiple playthroughs. Sometimes I get cocky because I've beaten all the Souls games multiple times, and when I start to play carelessly is when I get reminded that I can't fuck around because I'll get punished. But whether you've got a bow, magic, miracles, or a crap ton of upgraded armor pieces, you use the tools you have to your advantage, and don't be afraid to use them. Dark Souls is difficult, you've heard that a million times, but why the challenge is so renowned is because it's not bullshit difficulty. For the most part. Yes, there is trial and error, but again, that connects with the themes, with the gameplay. You learn through failure. In fact, that's like the only way to learn.
Pain is an excellent teacher.
If I had to highlight some negative aspects of the game, Capra Demon fight is just so fucking stupid. There's no way going through that door for the first time that you're gonna come out on top. It's just not gonna happen. You have almost no time to take in your surroundings before you get ass blasted. Ceaseless Discharge has some pretty questionable hitboxes, and the Bed of Chaos is, well, the Bed of Chaos. But aside from some of that cheap bullshit, there's a saying my martial arts master told me. Luck favors the prepared man. So if you hear about this place that's called Blight Town, you might consider finding or buying gear and items that can counteract some of the shit you'd expect to see in a place called
Blight Town.
Of course, there ain't no gear that can counteract that frame rate. By preparing yourself with upgraded weapons, leveling up, and a utility bag full of tricks is how you can conquer the game, and that's something I really love. The preparation you make before the next challenge, before the next excursion. Combat is fluid and heavily favors one-on-one encounters. It's slow and methodical. Attacks have long wind-up times, but to counteract this, they have brutally punishing damage. A lot of games might have the illusion of multiple enemies attacking you, but oftentimes they only attack one at a time and act like mindless goons in the background. This is not the case with Dark Souls. Getting surrounded is a surefire way of getting your ass handed to you and sent back to the bonfire. So playing smart, observing your surroundings, and trying to go for one-on-one fights is essential to success. Let's talk about PvP. In the early days, it took players a while to figure out what weapons and builds were most effective against other players. It sucks to say, but there's a lot of mechanics that can be abused in Dark Souls PvP. I've run up against so many just cheesy one-shot glass cannon sorcery builds in this game. That's no fun. There's no fun going up against that every single invasion. And for one, if you stock up on humanity, you can exploit that to pretty much heal indefinitely. There's a lot of cheese tactics too, and I've been the victim of some very questionable backstabs and hitboxes. Like, how the fuck did this arrow hit me? You serious? This was mostly forgivable in the original Dark Souls, but in the remastered version, so many of these exploits weren't fixed. See this video by Inferno Plus for a full breakdown on these bugs, because it highlights the problems with the PvP perfectly. But those moments when you get into a long-winded battle and both have drained your Estus and dueled to the death, those are magical moments. One of the greatest things about this system are the benevolent invaders. People who invade you with the apparent intention to kill you and pilfer your humanity, but turn out to give you nice items and leave. I once had a guy invade me in Blighttown while I was dying by those toxic bastards. I had barely enough HP to survive it with no Estus left. When the invader approached me, I showed him I was out of Estus, and when I was going through the menus to drop a humanity for him so he wouldn't have to kill me, he dropped 2 for me and then black crystalled out. That type of kindness, in such a cruel, harsh world, can really bring warmth to your heart and pick you up when you're down. There's a lot of nuances to the PvP system, too many to go into, but being able to help or hinder the progress of others is an awesome idea. Just as your Estus flask has a lore-related reason for being in the game, so too does the multiplayer.
We are amidst strange beings in a strange land. The flow of time itself is convoluted, with heroes centuries old phasing in and out. The very fabric wavers, and relations shift and obscure. There's no telling how much longer your world and mine will remain in contact.
This statement by Solaire is a perfectly vague explanation. Do the summon signs and invasions send you back or forward in time? Do they send you to an identical world with a different chosen undead? There's no concrete reason behind it, but it's safe to say without the multiplayer component and this description from Solaire, Dark Souls would lose a lot of its magic. This is a journey where you don't have to go it alone. You can share it with others, both good people and evil. Other players can leave their summon signs or messages, and depending on the player, they may be trying to help, hinder your progress, or send you off a cliff. The gameplay overall is fantastic and unique, offering limitless possibilities for experimentation and builds, and the PvP is there to not only enhance the experience but to build up the world of Lordran and offer great gameplay opportunities if you ever get bored of fighting the AI. But what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Dark Souls? That's right, it's the motherfucking bosses. A classic staple of video games and the big highlights of Dark Souls. I'd go so far as to say that this game revolutionized difficulty in the mainstream's view, because most of the bosses are so perfectly designed. They're all huge and epic, they intimidate and make us feel tiny, and even ones like Pinwheel that are super easy or the Bed of Chaos that are cheap as hell. All these bosses offer value in either gameplay, challenge, lore, atmosphere, or all of the above. The first time going up against each one of these bad boys, I can safely say I died against all but Gwendolyn, Pinwheel, and the Demon Fire Sage. The bosses evolve as you progress, and this is demonstrated in 3 fights in particular. Stage 1 is the Asylum Demon, your introduction to bosses. This fatty is here to teach you the mechanics of these fights, and use your surroundings to your advantage. Stage 2, the Bell Gargoyles, show the player that not every fight will be straightforward, and it gives you a taste of a boss with more than one enemy. Finally, the famous Ornstein and Smo battle is Stage 3. These guys' attacks complement each other perfectly, and they attack in unison. They are what separates the wheat from the chaff. This is the point that you get the Lord Vessel in the story, to discover your destiny. And if you can beat these 2 bad boys, you have what it takes to beat the game. Everything you experience through these 3 key bosses are the lessons you need to know to complete Dark Souls. Probably my favorite boss fight in the entire Souls series is the Four Kings, because as far as I can remember, it's the only arena that can kill you instantly, and it is scary as fuck. This is the most stressful fight in the game because the Kings are not only challenging, have high HP, deadly ranged and close-up attacks, but there's more than one of them. Their swords are so big they swing around behind them. I mean, the pressure to take out one king before the next one shows up as fast as possible is unlike any other pressure or stress I've felt in a video game. The utter blackness makes it hard to gauge how far away the kings are. You have absolutely no cover to hide behind, and those homing bullets track you for like 15 seconds. It's so exhilarating. The Four Kings perfectly illustrate a well-designed boss fight in every way. Now, because gamers will play through using different builds, the difficulty of bosses can vary. For instance, in my first playthrough, I beat ONS on my second try. No lie. You know how I'm not lying? Because I died to both of these Hydras at least 15 times. I just could not get the fight down for the life of me. I'd either get shot by these spitballs or fall to my death. Going through it now, they're a piece of cake, but my first time? Good lord. Every single boss in the game brings something new and different to the table. Yeah, there's a couple stinkers like the Demon Fire Sage, but overall, they bring a whole new level of terror and fear to an already hostile world.
Whoa.
In my opinion, there are some games that should be played a certain way to get the most out of them. To tie into my earlier point about how Dark Souls makes you curious, the best playthrough is your first one, because you have no idea what's around the corner, what to expect. This is why I think watching guides or gameplay before you play the game yourself is a cardinal sin. You shouldn't do that, because half the fun is discovering things on your own and getting your ass whooped. Not many games give players such an extraordinary urge to explore and make it so dangerous at the same time. It's not even just the enemies you have to look out for. Gravity has killed me more times than any single boss. And if you head into the wrong direction early on, you'll likely get butt-fucked by skeletons or ghosts. But if you knew where to go beforehand because you looked it up, you're forfeiting part of the experience for convenience. And here's another thing. Finding out which areas fuck you up and which ones don't makes you want to get stronger so you can go back to those areas. The temptation of new weapons, souls, plunder, and pillage is much too hard for adventurous gamers like us to refuse. That's what entices me about Dark Souls. Combined with the healing system, there's a risk-reward scenario. I mean, perhaps you're down to 2 chugs of that sweet Sunny D, but you feel close to a bonfire or special treasure. Do you risk death, your souls, and humanity to press on? Or do you turn back, play it safe, and try again? These decisions you make throughout the game are crucial. Which bonfires you kindle, if you've got humanity to spare, you've got to scrounge and collect everything you possibly can to be prepared. Thank God there's no limitations on your inventory. Every choice made by the player can have its rewards and consequences. What separates Dark Souls from many other games is nobody is essential. The game doesn't have any arbitrary barriers on who you can and can't kill. Some NPCs will encourage you to help them, while others will try to send you on the path of bloodshed.
Most fools have more humanity than they know what to do with. Now, who do you imagine will make the best use of it?
You could say there's even a morality system built into the game, but it's not measured with some arbitrary number. It's your own moral compass. When it comes to level design, art style, and feeling of the different areas, Dark Souls is perfection, if not the closest thing to it. Firelink Shrine is a great hub area that leads you to the following locations: Undead Parish, Undead Burg, Catacombs, New Londo Ruins, Valley of the Drakes, Blighttown, and the Undead Asylum. That's 7 freaking locations accessible after the tutorial, if you pick the Master Key. Remember how I talked about connection? The same thing applies here. That's freedom, that's choice. And yeah, many of those areas are tough early on, but there's nothing stopping you from going there anyways. One fan favorite technique is to go through the catacombs and kill Pinwheel early on so you can get the Rite of Kindling. Having a series of complicated paths, shortcuts, secret areas, and hidden bonfires like this can make it difficult to remember where you are and where you need to go. But it's like knowing the area around your house, and once you know, you never forget. You realize this type of connected level design is very beneficial to the game's experience. The designers want you to understand which paths lead where, and memorizing them will make your life easier. I want to emphasize that Dark Souls, in every aspect of its design, rewards the intelligent player, the attentive player. And because the world of Dark Souls can immerse so well with its scenery, the gameplay can immerse you on the same level. This might be somewhat controversial, but having the ability to warp between bonfires was something I thought you had to earn. Giving that tool to the player right after the first boss might be convenient, but doing that risks losing one of the greatest parts of this game, a connected world that feels real. Each area offers new obstacles for the player to overcome, but every one of them shares a similarity. Gravity is a fucking bitch. Crystal Caves forces you to be attentive, or guess what happens? Luckily, and you'll find this good game design in every corner of Dark Souls, the player can grab these prism stones on the way there, and use them to get through. Tomb of the Giants puts you in utter darkness, forcing you to sacrifice your shield for a light source, or your helmet. Lost Izalith and Demon Ruins have large patches of lava. New Londo Ruins throws a bunch of ghosts at you that appear from
They'll kill
above,
them.
below, and can move through walls. The enemies you face aren't the only things hostile to the player. The environment is too. Good old Sen's Fortress, and of course, the Abyss. From Software got very creative with all the different ways they could kill you in this game, and that's something I appreciate. And as I keep reiterating, Dark Souls is very unorthodox in almost every conceivable way. And with the use of mods, and thanks to Shazez, sorry if I said your name wrong, we can actually see how detailed the world is beyond the normal boundaries.
Out of all the episodes that I've done of Boundary Break, I've never seen so much detail to a
No!
from the distance.
How do I
Most
get
games
shut
will
down?
have
I don't
very
have any
low
kills.
quality
Yeah, look at
rendering
that
on
bounty.
the stuff that's in the
Woo!
background,
I got a
places
bounty
you
for
can't
not
even
killing
access.
anything.
That's to
Besides
save on
minions.
memory.
Isn't that great?
But
This is fucking
Miyazaki doesn't
stupid
give a
shit.
fuck. He wants immersion, damn it, and he got it. Dark Souls puts so much effort into the backgrounds just to make you feel immersed. And another thing that kind of blows my mind is Dark Souls doesn't stop the gameplay to load in a new area. It does it seamlessly for the most part. That's an extremely underrated achievement because the necessity for a video game to load something doesn't disrupt the experience like you would expect it to. What Dark Souls also offers is a sense of scale, subtle grandiosity. That's a good word to know. For example, when you arrive at Firelink Shrine, you can see 3 more areas that are inaccessible. So add that to the 7 other areas I mentioned. You can see Anor Londo way the fuck up there, and what I think is the Grand Archives. And you can also see the Great Hollow. Being able to look at something way the fuck off in the distance, get there, and look back at where you were is absolutely amazing. This is what makes Dark Souls feel epic. It feels like a real world that you don't have to watch a movie or a TV show or read a book to experience. You get to run around on your own. You have control. Getting an idea of how large these vast kingdoms are and how small of a speck the Chosen Undead is in all of it. Even when you're down in 15 FPS town, these huge arches exist. You can see the swampy ground below. If you think about it, Blighttown is just a massive fucking sewer. And can we just take a moment to appreciate the coolest area in all of video games? Ash Lake. The first time I discovered this area after braving through the curses in the Great Hollow, I was blown away. Staring at the endless sea, the massive trees around you, and thinking, maybe each one of those trees connects to a world just as massive as Lordran. You might also think there's a lot of unnecessary climbing and running in Dark Souls, but no, you're wrong. Taking that long-ass stroll to the last surviving ancient dragon is just epic. When you run down that path, you've got 2 whole minutes to think about what lies beyond. The interconnectivity of
You
all
guys
the levels
fu- I
in
have
Dark
2 of
Souls
them fucking
is
with
something
me.
From
What is this
Software has tried to
asshole
replicate
doing?
for years. The first time going through Lordran, one of the most beautiful things about it was imagining what this place was like in its prime, before it was devastated. But now every Souls game after this has done the same thing, thrust the player into a land that's gone to shit. And it's just not as fascinating the 4th time around. I think Dark Souls 1 really was lightning caught in a bottle. The atmosphere, look and feel of these places, it's iconic, beautiful, serene, and will be remembered above the rest when all else has turned to dark.
No one's taking her down. I guess I'll go bot. Staying top isn't really doing me anything. I'm just trying to get the same tower and I can't because Shen's a fucking dickhead and won't let me
So
take
let's
it.
switch
'Cause
gears
he won't
here.
fucking leave.
The characters
'cause he
in
doesn't
Dark
have
Souls
to.
are very important because they're the main road through which the game delivers
Fuck
its
off.
narrative. Primarily with NPC dialogue, which is optional, item descriptions, which are also optional, and the environments, which are optional to pay attention to. The best choice that Dark Souls gives the player is whether or not you give a shit. Most games will force cutscenes upon you, and that's all well and good, but sometimes you just don't want to be forced to give a shit. There's no dialogue-heavy scenes, and most of the characters you hear about throughout the game don't even speak to you.
Be gone with you. You spoil my focus.
Artorias and Sif are the 2 prime examples of how powerful the storytelling is. I've hardly ever seen such a strong emotional connection between fans and characters who never actually say a word for themselves. It goes to show that sometimes the best stories are told with fewer words. The world of Lordran carries a very dreary, depressing atmosphere most of the time. Part of that is the feeling of hopelessness just from the insurmountable challenge you're posed with, And the other part is how every NPC represents something about this universe. A land far off, an infested town below, a jolly realm of knights. All of them have survived this long in a world plunged into chaos, and they've all been negatively affected by it. Each one of them tries to carve out meaning, life, and sanity for themselves, and you witness that. Just like the story, many of the characters and their quest lines are far out of sight from the normal player. The world lives on around Firelink Shrine as you progress through the game. Characters move to and fro, some never return. Others can be found amidst a grim fate. They all have their own agendas. Some try to gather souls through selling merchandise. Others are content to wait it out. Characters have relationships with the other inhabitants of Lordran. They might hate, love, or serve one another.
Have you heard of the High Elves? Trusty Patches. If ever a man has rubbed me up the wrong way...
Here, have you met that backwoods Shiva? Believe me on this one, my love. A man is trouble. I can see it in his eyes. I just can. No doubt about it. Watch him.
Doesn't this all make for a much more interesting world than a stagnant hub area disconnected from the rest of the game, where people show up, rarely leave, and nothing really changes? Yeah,
Why
I
did that
thought
asshole
so.
come top?
The beauty of Dark Souls
Gangs
is
up, you
everyone in this
dickhead. I was
world is
doing
at
just
risk of
fine.
going hollow. Everyone knows about this, and it is something to be feared. When talking to most NPCs, they'll encourage you to press on and to avoid becoming hollow.
Don't get yourself killed. Neither of us want to see you go hollow.
It's safe here. Can't bear the thought of going hollow out there.
Goodbye then. Be safe, friend. Don't you dare go hollow. Oh, hello. Terrific to see us both in one piece. And pray that you never go hollow.
Voice acting in this game is phenomenal. I think we all remember the gung-ho voice of Siegmeyer of Katarina, or the luminous and friendly words of Solaire.
You really are fond of chatting with me, aren't you? If I didn't know better, I'd think you had feelings for me. Oh no, dear me, pretend you didn't hear that.
Or the deep, imposing yet compassionate conversations we had with Goth.
Good, good. What is bravery without a dash of recklessness? I've taken a liking to thee.
But to go back to the hopeless and depressing tone of Dark Souls, what's brilliant about the game is how the chosen undead could easily be